Yes, thank you. So, good morning again, and I'm so happy to see you all. And today we're going to talk about something that you all know everything about, or at least that's the way the world perceives it. The world perceives the law of attraction as a really simple, obvious thing, and yet I know there are some definite missing pieces, and I'm hoping to bring those missing pieces into play today. And anyone see The Secret? Anyone see or read The Secret? Yeah, it was quite the thing back in the day, wasn't it? And so after the movie, there was, a matter of fact, I can remember I was on a cruise down in Mexico. Actually, Joe Schneider was there and another couple of friends. And I went on shore and went into this little Mexican bookstore. And right there in that little Mexican bookstore was The Secret in Spanish. And I thought, oh wow, it was really getting out to the world in a big way. So I was always happy about that, but there were a couple things I wasn't happy about. I certainly was never happy about the genie. Now, who wouldn't want a genie? Who doesn't want that guy that can, grant you your wishes? I know that would be a lovely thing. But I did feel like it was very distracting, especially with new visitors or the new mind to the concept and the idea of the law of attraction, because it sounds so simple, and yet the truth is that it's what works. So in the textbook, in chapter 18, okay, in the beginning of the textbook, hold on, let me change something here. Okay, somebody still needs to make me host, please, or a co-host, please. Thank you, because I'm trying to change something here. So it says every person is surrounded by a thought atmosphere. This mental atmosphere is the direct result of her consciousness and unconscious thought. In its turn, becomes the direct reason for and cause of that which comes into her life. Now, I want you to catch something that might appear to not be very important, but it is the conscious and unconscious thought. And that's the part that really needs you as a community, me as the spiritual leader, that I want to sensitize you to. Because that's the part you can't see, that's the part you're unaware of, that's the part that's hard to recognize, yet it is the part that's living in the place within you that is the powerhouse. So, we have to learn, and if I were doing this in workshop form, and you might decide to do this if you want, right now, think for yourself right now, what irritates you the most about the world? Like, what catches your attention? Matter of fact, if you want, put it in the chat. What do you find yourself judging most uh, righteously about? In other words, what pisses you off? I want you to, that might not be the nice way to say it. And put that answer in the chat. Because that stuff that annoys you, that stuff that you judge, that stuff that you feel righteous about, all of those things are reactions and things that are living within your subconscious. And oh, there you go. I'm starting to see. Okay, thank you. Ignorance, destruction, greed. Oh yeah, greed's a big one for me too. Cruelty, partisan politics, injustice. Great stuff, folks. This is great stuff. If you have more, keep it coming, because it's going to be helpful for you to really get this. Yes, mean people. So what happens is these reactions and these things that live in your subconscious that are that pop up for you. Oh yes, oh yes. Okay, I'm looking white supremacy, pain to animals, incompetence. There's a whole bunch of things. Lovely. Now those things sit in your consciousness. Um, Joe, if you will, spotlight me, please, if you know how. Those things sit in your subconscious. And because they're in the subconscious and you have emotional reactions, right? Ah, beautiful. There we go. That's easy. That works well. Because you have an emotional reaction to these things, what happens is they strike a chord. That chord is a vibration. That vibration is where the you, that is you, communicates with the world around you. Does that make sense? So it's not just, oh, if I think this, I attract this. It is that's as far from the truth as I could possibly tell you. In your subconscious, your pain, your suffering, your stories. I mean, some of you might wonder sometimes, some of you might wonder sometimes why I talk so much about the shadow work and forgiveness work. And I do this because that is the stuff that is linked and sits. I'm still seeing your stuff. Thank you, folks. That still sits within your subconscious. And it has its way with you without you even knowing it. Without you even knowing it. And so some of the pain that you might experience, even the collective pain, even, let's say here, well, no, I don't want to go down that road. Even the collective pain, the stuff that sits without our attention, unhealed, becomes a link to the outside world. And what happens is you and I often make a mistake and think it's out there. And so, in the law of attraction, you are attracting things for a couple of reasons. You are attracting them because it lives inside of you and you're unaware of it. But you might also be attracting it to you and sensitive to it. Get this, because it's yours to help take care of. So, what I mean by that is if you are, and you're, if you're, let's say, if you're a white person, if you're a person of color, that's obvious. If you're a person of color and equality and racism is a really gets your goat, then it's yours to be part of. It's yours. It's yours to do something about. If if cruelty to children and cruelty to animals is something that really gets you, then it's also think you can think of it as a call to be part of it, to be part of the healing. For you to have something on your radar without doing something about it, without doing something about it, is a waste of that energy. It's an absolute total waste of that energy. Ernest Holmes says in the textbook as loudly, well, it's not very loud actually. I would have liked to seen it in all caps and italicized. We attract to ourselves what we are. Catch that. I know you've heard it, but have you really pondered it? You attract what you are. So, if you are a whining, complaining, gossiping individual, what do you think is going to happen with that? That becomes your thought atmosphere. That becomes your inner landscape. And if it's your thought atmosphere and your inner landscape, then it becomes your outer world. You know this, we haven't gone through this in a while, but if you know the answers, say them out loud. As within, so without. As above, so below. Form follows thought. That one's less obvious to some people, but Form follows thought. I've been saying for years that this is all you need to know to actually do your life. That's it. You don't need the textbook. You don't need anything else. If you can recognize the power and the simplicity of those things, you are absolute. You have your hand on everything you need to guide yourself to the right thinking and the right decision making and to be guided toward the healing, the inner healing. Holmes says he instructs us to daily use our own name and declare our truth. Now, there is um, there is a um, a reality where some of what we talk about can be used as spiritual bypass. So I'm going to try to explain how we do this in a right way. When you find yourself struggling or you're not having the life fully expressed the way you want it, if you're not successful enough, healthy enough, if you're not in a loving relationship in the way that you want to be, if these things are all just kind of, they seem outside of your reach on a regular basis, we can start with just declaring that we have them. But before you start declaring those things specifically, I would encourage you to declare yourself as full, as alive, as perfect, as whole, as a loving presence. And what you do when you do that, you begin to create. It's like you put in a new computer program. You create programming that lifts you, loves you, and affirms you. Repeat after me. I am the presence of love. I don't see your mouths moving. I want to see you saying it out loud. I am the presence of love. I am worthy of all good. I deserve to be alive and successful. I am proud of me exactly as I am. God as me is celebrating me. Now, when you do that, you begin to drip inside of your consciousness like a thought at a time, an affirmation at a time, that which is required for you to believe in you as deserving of good and greater good. Sometimes the new mind goes for the big idea before cultivating the inner landscape. You get that? Sometimes the new mind goes for the bigger ideas before cultivating the inner landscape. I want you to catch that. So, as somebody who I haven't been growing, I haven't been gardening much in the last few years, but when I did have a garden, and anyone who's ever grown a piece of a vegetable or flower, you begin with the soil. We always begin with the soil. And as a matter of fact, when I used to live in Florham Park, I was so aware of this that I had a compost. Maybe some of you with property have a compost. Now, someone with a compost knows that that compost in and of itself doesn't do anything. The compost is what we are preparing so we can prepare the soil so we can plant the seeds. And it is, to just plant flowers or plant vegetables sounds great. But the preparation happens a year before because somebody who has a compost is feeding it all year long, and then they're turning it over roses and it becomes rich soil. And then when we go to plant, we take that rich soil that we've created and we incorporate it into the earth that plants. As a human, your your compost is the healing of the self judgment that you make. Every time you heal self judgment, you are creating healthier soil. Every time you catch the thoughts, like literally, and this is what I tell my clients. I tell my clients to come up with a like a trigger, something that they can use, so that every time a contrary thought comes up, they use that immediately. Now, the old fashioned one that we've spoken about many times from Raymond Charles Barker is there's not a word of truth in this. The one I gave you a few years ago to have fun was ain't so, ain't happening. That's just me being silly. But for each of you, you want you want that ultimate I am statement, so that when a contrary thought comes up, because folks, you can't do this once a week. You got to nip it in the bud every time it's there. The law of attraction works because of the wholeness and the completeness of your being. It's not on a moment to moment basis. So, what happens is, if during the day you suddenly find yourself feeling uh, competitive or jealous, for example, you need to have your I am statement ready, so that as you feel that's, for example, you see something on Facebook and somebody has something you wish you had, and that feeling is there right away, you got to take care of it right then. So, so the way I might take care of it is I might say, "Oh, I have this and more. This is who I am. I am more than this. I am complete in my being. Whatever that is for you." Matter of fact, I love it. Marcy, last week we're at Marcy and Joe's house, and Marcy told me about this, and I'm going to tell you. Marcy, maybe you can put it in the chat, the name of the show. Marcy told Neil and I about this show on Netflix, and it's something about vacation rentals, although that's not the whole name. And she said to us, and this was brilliant. She said to us, "Oh, you gotta watch this show." She said, but then she gave us a warning. You gotta watch it without thinking you can't have it, or without being jealous about it. I don't remember her exact language. But so I went on this uh, rent vacation rental thing. It's these um, two women and a man, and they travel all around the world finding the most extraordinary vacation spots you've ever seen in your life, like a glass hut that's 30 feet in the air. I mean, crazy stuff, right? But what happened was Marcy's warning was good. So I watched it with a sense of awe and wonder, and was able to leave behind any sense of I wish I had. I wish I could. I stayed away from that and just enjoyed the inspiration. Are you catching this? Your sense that you can't have something denies it. It denies it. You get to have life on your terms, but the terms are inner. The law of attraction works with the spoken, the unspoken words. It works from the conscious and the unconscious thought. You must get this. You must get this. And you must be willing to do the day to day, minute to minute work that allows you to cultivate and recultivate and renew the mind. So, he said, Holmes instructs us to do this daily and to use our own name. So it would be something like, yes, world's most amazing vacation rentals. There you go. Thank you, Marcy. So it would sound like this: I, Michelle, declare that I am alive and well and worthy of all good. And he says, do that daily. Use your name, create a declaration, and do it daily, over and over again. This is how we invoke the presence. When you do that often enough, the not enoughness that might tempt you begins to fade. It begins to fade. It will not have the power over your thinking and your heart the way it used to. One thought at a time, one affirmation at a time, one prayer at a time, but regularly. Regularly. Okay. If you want more love, guess what you do? I'm gonna guess what you do. Go ahead. See if somebody could put in the chat. If you want more love, guess what you do? I want to see what someone says in here. What is the answer? If you want more love in your life, yes. Be love, give more love, love yourself. That was the one I was looking for, God day. Thank you. That was actually the exact one, but all of these are right. Be the presence of love, but love yourself. Folks, if you want love, you have to be that. You have to love the fullness of your being without exception. This is what it sounds like, and I'm going to ask you to repeat after me with this. This is an old one, but there's nothing new. There's nothing new. There's only implementation. There's only execution of what you know. I love myself as I am. Say it. Say it to yourself. And as I am not. Now close your eyes and say it deeper. I love myself as I am. And as I am not. I accept myself as I am. And as I am not. I believe in myself as I am. And as I am not. This is the practice of an experienced metaphysician taking ownership of their own life. That's the way it looks. That's the way it plays out. So, last thing I'm going to say to you, the responsibility of setting the law in motion is ours. Ours. But the responsibility of making it work is inherent in its own nature, which means God's nature. You create the form, develop the relationship with the beloved, and get the heck out of the way. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Just allow it. All right, I'm going to pray us out now. And I want to see y'all, so I'm going to put us on gallery view. All right. Now, right now, affirm yourself. And I want to encourage you to touch your body in some way, your hands on your heart, or just on your legs or on your chest. I don't care where, but make a physical connection with yourself right now. And go into that space with me and declare with me that the power and the presence and the love of God that created everything, that created the beauty of Mother Nature and this earth, that same power lives in me, as me. And I speak this word for every one of us right now, and I speak it with abundant enthusiasm. I declare on your behalf, I speak in the I am. I am worthy of good and greater good. I declare that I am open to receive from the bottom of my heart. I release any contrary ideas. I release any contrary influence. And I move into a place of accepting love and greater love and inspiration and intuition, good and greater good. I know without reservation that I deserve life to work. I deserve life to work on my behalf. I am worthy. I am lovable. I am valuable. And as basic as these ideas might be, this is the truth of my being as I speak this word for one and all. It is with awe that I watch my world transform as I transform my inner landscape, growing thoughts and ideas from the fertile soil of my loving soul. Oh, with such great beauty. Oh, Spirit is celebrating as this community right now. Spirit is blessing us right now. For this good and very good, I am so grateful. I release this word to love, to law, and to the awe of life. And so it is.
So it is.
Before I leave you, I ask you to affirm with me right now, again, to support our beloved individuals who are at Edward's house to do this healing work for the people of color in our community. And I ask you so that we have agreement, we have community support. We're going to speak these words for these individuals. And we're going to do it like they're right there in the room next to us. So repeat after me. I believe in you. I open my heart to you and your healing. I give of myself, my energy, and my belief system to support you. I trust you in your process. I call it good and so very good. So may you all feel blessed and do what you're doing today with the love and the full support of your entire community. Bless you. Thank you for doing this work.